Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Flip Thought Show. It's your host with the most, King Truth, Hosenberg, Benny Bo, the one with the word, the one with the flow. Coming at you at 2:35, man. We got a whole bunch coming to you right now, man. Got a whole bunch of content coming to you, and this is gonna be about Thug.
Fannie Willis has officially filed a motion to send Young Thug back to jail. And it all stems from a couple of tweets that Young Thug posted yesterday. Tweets are not illegal. This is America. We have freedom of speech. But because Young Thug signed quite possibly the worst plea deal I've ever seen a high-profile celebrity signed, they have the leisure to essentially send Young Thug to jail whenever they so please. And this right here is a perfect example of it. When we found out what Young Thug's plea deal was, everybody and their mama on social media told Young Thug, bro, you better all fight in this case, bro.
Yeah,
This is just a trap to send you back to jail.
Participation in criminal street gang activity. How do you plead?
I plead guilty.
As to count 58, violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act. How do you plead?
Guilty.
As to count 59, violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act. How do you plead?
Guilty.
As to count 60, violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act. How do you plead?
Guilty.
As to count 61, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. How do you plead?
Guilty.
And as to count 1, conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. How do you plead?
No law.
As to count 56, participation in criminal street gang activity under the leadership charge. How do you plead?
No law.
I think you didn't ask about count 62.
As to count, thank you, Your Honor. As to count 62, possession of a machine gun. How do you plead?
Guilty.
The plea deal was horrible, Brett. They gave Young Thug 15 years of probation. And if he violates within 15 years just one time, they can send him to jail for 20 years because the 20 years is a backloaded suspended sentence. And their terms for violation is even more ridiculous. Young Thug is banned from Atlanta for 10 years. Young Thug can't say gang terminology. He can't use it in his music. So if he says cuh, slat, slime, slut, 20 years in jail. He can't hang out with any felons, 20 years in jail. Right? He can't contact anybody who was on that particular case with him besides Gunna, 20 years in jail. So it's just so restrictive that it's almost impossible for Young Thug to avoid not going back to jail for 20 years. You know the plea deal is bad when your own lawyer is coming out after pleading and he's telling you, bro, we could have gotten a not guilty plea, bro. I'm not happy with this guilty plea, man, but Thug wanted to take it because Thug wanted to come home today.
As far as how Jeffrey's feeling now, get the notification bell for like all that.
Which I'm not going to reveal.
Throw it to you in the air, man.
Attorney-client privilege.
Send it to the family, man.
This is not the same as not guilty verdict. That
So
should
go check out that
But
with network on all Roku streams
every day on a
all the
concrete
content that you want and more.
floor that they're calling
Yes,
his
Lord.
bed. Gets up at 4:15.
Yeah, man.
Shackled
Tap
on
in.
his feet, his waist, and his hands. Comes to the Fulton County Courthouse to be on concrete, eating out of a bag. Doritos is his meal of choice. And then coming to a courtroom and sit there with a leg chain on him every single day and hear lie after lie. So for Jeffrey go home today and not have another 90 days or 120 days of it, he is very happy, thankful to the honorable court. So to answer your question, this was not what I wanted. I don't believe that it is just, but I believe that under these circumstances, it is justice for Jeffrey Williams, and he is delighted, as are we, and thankful.
Essentially, Young Thug sold his soul to the devil that is Fannie Willis, and he done signed up to be in Fannie Willis' grip, right, for at least 15 years. So now what we have is, because Fannie Willis feels like she can abuse her power and do anything, because she essentially got Thug under this 15-year probation that threatens him with 20 years of backloaded suspended sentence. So yesterday, Young Thug made a tweet that Fannie Willis didn't like. Young Thug posted biggest liar in the DA office. And this is a picture of Marissa Verrado. I'll call her Verrado the Vixen. All right. This is the quote unquote undercover detective who has essentially managed to weasel her way into the good graces of gangbangers all across the city because she looks like a BBL Instagram model. And she managed to weasel information out of them, and then she testifies against them as a gang expert. It's a dirty game she's playing, which is why she never shows her face in court. Barreto is the same lady who was testifying in the YSL case, got caught up in multiple lies, got discredited. The judge yelled at her. She's a mess. But Young Thug posted this because she's now doing the same thing to Lil Baby. All right. So she was testifying in the Goodfella Lil Baby Ops RICO case. And while she was testifying in front of the grand jury, she testified that the Goodfellas was on wiretap saying
What's
that
up,
Lil
bro?
Baby put a
Shit,
bag on the
weather
head.
out
But
here
here's the
pretty
thing.
hot, bro.
They
That
never
was
said
cold.
Lil
It's
Baby.
been hot.
Right? She came to that conclusion on her own.
Oh, what's up, huh? Oh, what's going on? Man, them folks, like, come on, bro, you know what finna go on. Like, how the hell you can, you know what I'm saying? They ain't even like that, man. Them folks got tickets on a lot of these folks, I'm telling you.
He said them folks got a lot of tickets on that a bunch of these folks' heads. Did y'all hear him say that? All right, she gonna watch, and Vermerino is gonna explain it to them. Hold on. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna play it on its own, so y'all be like, Sylvia, why don't you shut up? Okay, I'm gonna play it again. Okay.
What's going on? Well, then,
We just heard
Hey,
somebody
Granny
say
in there
these folks
screaming.
got tickets on
That's funny,
these
man.
people. We know what's going on. First of all, who was that said that about the tickets?
Unc, the unidentified male that was being referred to as Unc.
And he's speaking with Mr. Sanders.
Correct.
And what, in your experience, do you know what tickets are?
That's the
A
little
price on
baby
somebody's
case.
head.
Yeah.
What do you mean by, what do you mean on somebody's head? What is that?
Like a bounty,
Okay. To have them arrested?
harmed, or killed.
And who were they referring to in that portion of the call?
They were saying that they had heard that Dominique Jones had tickets on a lot of people's heads.
Dominique Jones had wanted to have people harmed.
Correct.
All right, moving on.
They never said Lil Baby's name, but they brought the gang expert Marissa Ferrato in court so she can testify. But here's the thing. When she testifies, the court is not allowed to put the camera on her face. She is an undercover detective, right? She is remaining anonymous. So what's going on here is because she's been in the YSL trial, because she's been in several high-profile trials, people in court has identified her and they've been posting her on social media. So Young Thug posted biggest liar in the DA, and he showed her picture, showed her face, but he never identified her as Marissa. He just said, just the biggest liar. But nonetheless, though, like Fannie Willis was very upset that Young Thug posted this, right? Because first of all, Marissa is supposed to be like incognito, undercover. So you posting this is already out in somebody currently testifying in the high-profile gang RICO, right? You know, gang RICO, like for example, Goodfellas, who was known for taking out snitches. So Fannie Willis is upset, right? And Fannie Willis is putting all the blame on Young Thug because apparently after Young Thug posted this, death threats started to reel in. People began to threaten, you know, Fannie Willis, began to threaten Marissa, began to threaten her mama. So Fannie Willis filed a state motion to revoke Young Thug's probation. Now, they will claim that apparently Young Thug, who is the defendant, continued presence in the community under probationary supervision presents a clear and present danger to public safety and undermines the rule of law. The cold part about all of this is Young Thug isn't even in their community. Y'all banned him for 10 years. Did y'all forget? Look at how vague this is, and you can't tell me probation ain't slavery, yo. So apparently, Fannie Willis believes that she has the power to send Young Thug to jail whenever she so pleases. And her reason is the conditions of probation were imposed pursuant to OCGA, which authorizes courts to establish and enforce conditions necessary to protect the public and uphold the administration of justice. So apparently Young Thug don't even have to violate the specific conditions they set in place. They can make up conditions as they go, right? If they so please decide that Young Thug breathing disturbs public safety, they can bring him back to prison. Under the section escalating threats and witness intimidation, they will say the investigator Marissa Viverado is currently testifying in a multi-defendant gang murder preliminary hearing, which remains ongoing and is set to reconvene on Monday, April 7th, 2025. During this hearing, the court explicitly ordered that the witness not be shown on television while testifying. Despite this order, a known blogger deliberately violated the court's directive by posting on social media she doesn't want to be shown on screen. Well, here she is, along with a photograph of investigator Viverado. The blogger who did that was Infamous Sylvia, by the way. Now, they're now saying that Young Thug apparently got wind of this, and Young Thug decided to add his insult to injury too. The work will say on Tuesday, April 1st, 2025, Jeffrey Williams, Young Thug, amplified this act by reposting the image with the caption, Marissa Viverado is the biggest liar in the DA's office. Yo, they put this in quotation as if that's what Young Thug said. Young Thug never said her name. He said biggest liar in the DA office. Like, if you're gonna put something in quotation in the official court document, bro, you might as well get it accurate. This is why Young Thug and them beat what they didn't beat it, right? Like Yak Gotti beat the RICO, but Young Thug pled guilty before he could beat it. But this is why they beat it, right? It's too many administrative errors. They will go on to say that Young Thug post quickly went viral, amassing over 2 million views with thousands of comments and retweets, many of which included direct threats to investigator Viverado and her family. At this point, it feels like if you're on probation, you're not a citizen no more, bro. Like, free speech don't exist for you just because you're on probation. It makes no sense. Young Thug is not responsible for those threats. Like, but Young Thug posted her picture because he felt like she's a liar, and he called her a liar. He ain't say, yo, go
Little
threaten her.
baby, he
So
did get
these are the
arrested.
specific threats we are
I don't
talking
know
about.
if he bonded
Twitter
out.
user by the
You know,
name of
he
Mikey
bonded
Day
out.
100 posted, if the hate is really real, then pull up to her mama crib. Now, they got her mama address marked out, but obviously he didn't mark it out, and he actually posted the address and doxed her. But here's the thing, bruh. Now, can you imagine being one of these Twitter trolls? You posting one out of your 1,000 tweets, and then you wake up and you see yourself in a complaint for Young Thug. I feel like us normal people, we will be really upset, really frantic, really scared. But for trolls like this, I feel like they live for this, bruh. Like they live for moments like this, yo. Right? They now feel important. But again, I don't tie this to Young Thug. I don't tie mentally ill people to Young Thug, bro. Like this makes no sense. Young Thug has nothing to do with this. Now, this one ain't no screenshot. This one you can tell Fannie Willis took this picture herself. All right. Right? Because this is taken by a phone through the screen. So Fannie Willis took this picture herself, man. So the tweet says, I will personally make sure Fannie Willis is assassinated. And, they marked out Fannie Willis' crib. Now, this tweet got 93 views, bruh. So you know somebody was looking and searching. Again, mentally ill fans have nothing to do with Young Thug. I don't see how you're directing this to Young Thug. Young Thug never asked him to do this. Now, to me, this is the scariest one. If I'm this dude, I'm terrified. Because on Twitter, you can literally search terms and find what you're looking for. But this dude posted it on his Instagram story. So that means the fans had to
Yeah,
be
but
watching his profile to
they
be
just
able to
got
see
some
this.
wiretap
And he posted, dumb I used
audio
to live
of him
at
basically
altitude and got my
saying he got
Airbnb shut
tickets on
down.
people's
If
heads,
I'm
but
this
it's
dude,
just
I'm
a state
terrified,
RICO.
bro.
It's
Because
not a
what do you mean the
federal
feds got
RICO
my
yet
IG story? How they
that they're
found
trying to
my
set it
IG
up right
story?
now.
Fannie Willis is moving like she thinks she's the queen of the world or something, bro. Yo, how does Young Thug have
Fannie
constitutionally
Willis,
protected
same
speech?
person that's trying to get
He's
Thug
not threatening
back
her.
in
He's
the
not bringing no
chains.
harm her way personally, right? But he can't have an opinion that she's a
Yeah,
liar.
so it was good.
Now Young Thug can't have an opinion on you guys. Yo, this is just unconstitutional. Now, Young Thug will respond back to Fannie Willis and the DA trying to make it appear that he's threatening people, and he'll make it very clear he's not threatening anyone. Young Thug posted,
Trying
I
to get
don't
down
make
on
threats
these
to
videos,
people.
man. I
I'm a
got
good person.
I think
I
10
would
more
never
to do.
condone
I'm gonna
anyone
do more
threatening
tonight.
anyone or definitely participate in threatening anyone. I'm all about peace and love. That's definitely a call from his attorney, bro, to make sure you put that out there so they know. Now, here's the thing, bro. I don't know why Fannie Willis keeps acting like she really wants to smoke. Fannie Willis don't want the Brian Steele smoke no more, bro. Brian Steele came came in the courtroom, came in that trial, bro, and embarrassed all of them, bro. She don't want the Brian Steele smoke anymore, bro. So tell her stop asking for it. Now, I don't know how far this is gonna go, but this seems like she's really pushing to send Thug back to jail. Now, Judge Whitaker purposefully. Now, if you was watching the trial, you know they wanted this to be an automatic thing. You violate, you go back to jail. But Judge Whitaker said, nah. She changed the wording to where whenever the state want to violate Thug, Thug has to come in front of her, and she decides if it's a violation and how much time he gets. Because they wanted Thug to violate and go back to jail for 20 years. Automatically 20 years. But she said, no, I would decide how much time Thug would do when he violates. So y'all let me know in the comment section, okay? What do you guys think, man? Y'all think Thug deserves to go back to jail for this? Or y'all feel like this
Nah.
is unconstitutional? Let me know, okay? And if you're still watching, click on this video right here to find out how this
Oh,
interview
okay, for
by
sure, bro.
Yellow
Yeah,
Beezy's
what time is it over
co-defendant
there?
kind of proves that Yellow Beezy is gonna do life in prison. All right, all hope is gone. Okay, click on this video right here to find out what I'm talking about. Out of here, folks. Peace.
All right, here we go, Tony. Yeah. Well,
Hold
Finish.
on.
Now, you're probably wondering, why haven't I been streaming talking about what's going on in the music scene? Or probably not, considering there hasn't really been much going on since Playboy Cardi
Oh yeah,
dropped
that's
I
right.
Am Music.
Yeah,
So
you in Florida
today
right
I
now.
just figured I'm gonna compile all the
Yeah, man,
small
it's
news, even
free
though
up
some of
here.
it might seem bigger, but like we don't have much information, and we put it into one video like I'm on, I don't know, CNBC or Fox News. Call me the boss. But I've actually been working on this new Discord server where I'm gonna have a lot of other YouTube creators and hopefully Twitter influencers, Instagram, everything, so we can all like stream in one place, as well as have y'all in the conversations during live streams. So go check it out. It's not completely done yet, but I'm gonna put a link in the description. Hopefully I'll have more done so that y'all can't hack me by the time that this video drops. But anyway, to get started, Young Thug might actually be going back to jail because apparently he's violated his probation with the city of Atlanta. The Superior Court of Fulton County, which houses Atlanta in the state of Georgia, has submitted a motion to revoke his probation, basically meaning after he got released, he was only released on probation so that he could be outside in the living world and free based on probationary terms. But apparently he violated that. So now they're saying, nah, like he's not okay to be outside. He needs to be back in jail with us.
Because
If you ask
one
me,
picture
they
that
probably wanted it that way, or like they knew that in the national news, it was such a big deal that Young Thug was being prosecuted by the Atlanta or Georgia Supreme Court, or sorry, Superior Court. And so they let him free, knowing that he was going to somehow violate probation, or at least they would say that he did, so they could bring him back in jail and not look like bad people or against the Constitution. Because this is what they state that Young Thug did. They want to immediately revoke the probation of defendant Jeffrey Williams. The defendant has demonstrated a blatant disregard for the law, the safety of witnesses, and the integrity of judicial proceedings. The state submits that the defendant's continued presence in the community under probationary supervision prevents a clear and present danger to public safety and undermines the rules of law.
Oh,
And here are
okay.
some of the examples
What
that
did
they
she teach?
claim that he
What
did, which
subject?
was pattern of intimidation and
That's
court
cool though, right?
undermining. This is not an isolated incident. It is part of a calculated campaign of intimidation, harassment, and misinformation designed to undermine the legal process. Social media has been used as a tool to
You gotta do
manipulate
2
public
more videos about
perception.
this
So what
Young
I
Thug,
just
and
said
I'm gonna go right
before,
to
where like
Yellow Beezy.
they were making Young Thug seem like the good guy, not saying he isn't, free Thug always, but like the court knew what they were doing. They knew they were going to take him back. It's all 4D chess. Spread misinformation and instill fear. These efforts have also included attempts to exploit the court's perceived stance of disdain toward the state by referring to Your Honor as YSL White Taker. This ongoing manipulation of public perception through social media is intended to obstruct justice, silence witnesses, and threaten those who enforce the law. And I had to just quickly look up what Whitaker or White-taker meant. I assume it's some like racist term because apparently it means like wheat fields or something. It goes back into slavery. You know what? I'm just gonna avoid that conversation completely. Okay, I'm done with that. Oh man, and they pulled up the receipts. On Tuesday, April 1st, 2025, Jeffrey Williams, aka Young Thug, so that was yesterday, or 2 days ago, I guess, since it's past midnight, but it's April Fool's Day. Come on, you can't take anything he says seriously. Amplified this act by reposting the image with the caption, Marissa Vivrito is the biggest liar in the DA's office. This post quickly went viral, amassing over 2 million views with thousands of comments and retweets, many of which included direct threats to investigator Vivrito and her family. Yeah, this is a big no-no. When you're on probation, you got to realize that they're going to come after you for like the most minimal of things, and to go on social media, on Twitter, and literally like go
He
at
didn't put her name
the
though. He just put
people that
biggest
threw you in jail in the first
liar in
place,
the DA office.
you're just asking to go back to jail. So as much as it's like free thug, at the same time, like he's low-key a dumbass for doing that. I can't get around it. As a direct consequence of these social media posts, she got doxxed, her home address, her parents' home address, publicly posted. One posted, if the hate is real, then pull up on her mama crib. Hours later, an additional post emerged threatening the assassination of the DA. Oh my God, yeah. So this is turning into like a whole January 6th type situation, I guess, in the rap game.
Yeah,
But again, everybody,
don't get a better video.
all of this was posted on April Fool's Day, so we can't take anything seriously that people are saying. It was just a joke, man. That's what I would say if I was
cool,
Young
man.
Thug's lawyer. Like,
Sixth
you're on it.
grade. Okay, yeah, my
It
mom's
was April
a
Fool's
teacher,
Day.
but
Nobody was serious. What are you talking about? And you get the hammer, like,
she teaches
abstain. And here's the tweet in reference that Young Thug
middle
said, biggest
school,
liar
high
in the
school.
DA office. You should have known, man. Rappers and just people in general who get out of court cases, they probably thought that like they got out free, as in they were considered innocent, but that wasn't.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I thought that was gonna be some other, you know. Let's see. I think that's basically all they have on it. Like, we're just gonna be. I don't think anybody else has really spoke more on it, and with you know, what everybody else knows. Flacco might have a better video on it.
This Atlanta DA Fannie Willis got a hard on for Young Thug, and at this point, it's becoming unacceptable. It's very obsessive at this point, bruh. And the obsession grows more and more and more every time Young Thug hands her an L. Chasing clout and fame and trying to be a social media star by indicting Donald Trump and Young Thug at the same time is literally been her downfall. Like, that's literally the biggest mistake she's ever made. Because of that, she literally got exposed in court because she brought the RICO against YSL. You know, people began to probe into her private life, and they found out that she was effing on YFN Nut, a high-ranking gang member, aka Young Thug's op. And it became very apparent, oh, she took special interest in this YSL RICO because they took out her ghetto boo, right? Which is just unprofessional, bro. Right? Like, you
Yeah,
are a
boo.
literal DA
Yeah.
and you was getting your back broken by a
Flacco's
high-ranking
crazy.
gang member, and then when he dies, you bring a RICO against his ops. Like, it's just stupid, right? And then her bringing a RICO against Trump, as well as the fact that she was getting her cheeks clapped by the person that she assigned to handle Trump's case, which is also too very unprofessional. Because why are you getting your cheeks clapped by your understudy? And then she was forced to take the stand and admit to it. And then they found receipts of payments she gave him, all type of stuff, bro. Like, this chick has literally went through hell and got embarrassed. So now she's trying to enact revenge however she can enact revenge. So with Young Thug recently, she tried to revoke his probation. So Young Thug took a plea deal for 15 years of probation, 20-year suspended sentence. So if Young Thug has his probation revoked, he goes to jail for 20 years. So she tries to revoke his probation because of this particular tweet. Young Thug called out this other fraud in Fenny Willis' DA office, who also gets her cheeks clapped by high-ranking gang members, which is how she gets her information. And then she comes to court and testifies against them as a quote-unquote gang expert. So Young Thug called her a liar for lying about Lil Baby putting bags on people's heads. So Fenny Willis seen this as apparently a threat to society that's so severe that Young Thug deserved to go back to jail for 20 years.
Exclusive on rapper Young Thug. Tonight, the Fulton County District Attorney's Office filed a motion to revoke his probation. The rapper was released on bond last November. We broke the story on WSBTV.com around 8:30 tonight. And Channel 2 investigative reporter Mark Winnie joins us now live from the newsroom. Mark, the DA spoke exclusively to you about this motion.
Yeah, this concerns the YSL gang racketeering conspiracy case. Last year, DA Fani Willis suggested to us the sentence for rap superstar Young Thug, real name Jeffrey Williams, that let him hit the street the night he pled guilty or nolo contendere to all charges he faced, was a sentence which could send him to prison for years if he crossed the wrong line. Now this.
If your motion is successful, Young Thug would go to prison.
He could.
A new and dramatic verse in the case surrounding music star Young Thug, real name Jeffrey Williams. A motion from prosecutors at the Fulton County District Attorney's Office to revoke Williams' probation. It says, quote, since sentencing, the defendant has engaged in conduct that directly threatens the safety of witnesses and prosecutors, compromises ongoing legal proceedings, and warrants immediate revocation of probation. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis.
What our motion is concerned about is that we certainly believe that his post was to threaten law enforcement, which is all part of gang activity.
This woman is an extreme cloud chaser, bro.
Mm-mm.
Can you tell me the last time we seen Fenny Willis in a courtroom doing some work? We haven't. The only time I see Fenny Willis, bro, is on CNN, on the news channels, or on a podcast, bro. This woman is soaking this up, and she knows, bro. Bringing stupid stuff like this against Young Thug is a way to get attention. She knows no judge in their right mind would ever approve this, right? And he handed her a severe L after she tried to do this.
Jeffrey Williams' attorney Brian Steele told me by phone it is never appropriate to be engaged in any type of witness intimidation. It is never appropriate to threaten to murder another person. The prosecution's motion to revoke Jeffrey's probation should not be well received and should be swiftly rejected. It is irresponsible to file a motion of this sort when Jeffrey has done absolutely nothing, Steele said, to violate any condition of probation or threaten a witness.
We know that it is clear to Mr. Williams that the intent of the district attorney is to stop gang activity in Fulton County, Georgia. We believe the judge's order is clear, and that this is an intentional violation.
The motion says investigator Marissa Viverito is currently testifying in a gang murder hearing and indicates a judge ordered the witness not be shown on TV while testifying, but that a blogger posted on social media she doesn't want to be shown on screen. Well, here she is, along with a photo of the investigator. The motion says on Tuesday, Young Thug reposted the image, and the post went viral, amassing more than 2 million views. The motion says Viverito's home address and her parents' home address were publicly posted, exposing them to grave danger, and that hours later, an additional post emerged threatening the assassination of D.A. Willis.
Yeah, but that was his fans that did all that, though, so I don't know.
Continued association with individuals actively involved in witness intimidation, threats of violence, and obstruction of justice constitutes a clear violation of probation conditions.
So without a doubt, bro.
Now, last year, Ms. Willis
Without a
suggested
doubt.
to us there was room for accountability in Young Thug's complicated sentence involving 5 years commuted time served, followed by 15 years probation to be followed by a, quote, backloaded 20-year prison term.
Fannie Willis is the prime example why I don't look at race when it comes to law enforcement, bro. Fannie Willis and her DA office is hella corrupt. And most
Yeah,
black folks
hella
would
corrupt
believe if
for
you let
sure.
them know that the mayor is black, the DA is black, some judges are black, they'll probably say, oh, of course you're going to get a fair chance. Of course these black folks understand what you go through in the justice system. They won't try to impose. They won't be corrupt to their own. No, bruh. No. A lot of the times, my bad experiences with law enforcement have came from black cops. Most of the time, my bad experiences with law enforcement personnel have came from black people. Black folks uh, abuse power and is just as corrupt as white folks, bruh. But for some reason, we use race when we say, yo, this white cop did. No, bruh. Fannie Willis have an entire black staff. And it's more corrupt than anything you can ever imagine. Yo, the first judge was so corrupt, bro. They had to take him off the stand, bro, in this YSL trial. And here's and here's the funny part. The all black DA office, the all black city, they're trying to prosecute and send Young Thug back to jail for 20
I mean, they're
years
trying to do a lot of
over a tweet.
gentrification in Atlanta right now
But the
with the
one
APD.
person standing in the way, the one
You know,
person who was interested in protecting
Atlanta
Young Thug,
PD,
who was
bro.
interested
There's some
in
corrupt people. I'll
protecting his
just say that.
constitutional rights, the one person is a white judge. The lady on your right is Judge Whitaker. Now, we affectionately refer to her as YSL Whitaker because she really held it down, bro. When the first judge was being corrupt, out here having secret meetings with certain personnels of the state, trying to collude a witness to testify against Young Thug. Yo, it was a mess. She stepped in and gave Young Thug a fair trial that led to Young Thug essentially beating the case. He just ain't want to wait it out. So they offered him a plea deal mid-trial. But his co-defendant, who didn't take the plea deal, he got found not guilty. So the judge responded back to Fannie Willis' motion to revoke Young Thug's probation. And here's what she had to say. YSL Whitaker very quickly shut this down, right? And she didn't even spend an entire page explaining why. She gave Fannie Willis one paragraph and said, kick it. Right? So YSL Whitaker responded back to Fannie Willis and she stated, upon consideration of the state's April 2nd, 2025 motion to revoke defendant's probation, which alleges a violation of the terms and conditions of defendant's probation for having posted a picture of a particular law enforcement officer with the caption biggest liar in the DA office, and defendant's April 3rd response thereto, and having reviewed the terms and conditions of defendant's probation imposed by this court, the court declines to revoke defendant's probation based on the violation asserted. Fannie Willis, you should be embarrassed of yourself. You should look in a mirror right now, bro.
Yeah,
And
she
be
do. She do sound stupid
that
now.
this is
She
the
do look
life that you
stupid.
chose, to be an
They're trying to
absolute
do all
sellout.
that to try to
And
get
you
Thug
ran for
back
the
in
DA
there.
office. I can understand wanting to keep the streets clean, wanting to keep
Yeah,
gang
nah, I
activities
feel
to
it
a
though.
minimum. That's cool. I was with you, bro. Y'all know I was one of her biggest supporters, of course.
Yeah, I
Lock
don't
up
know about
all
all
of them.
that, Flacco.
Lock them all up.
I
But
don't know
when a
about all
man goes
that,
through the
Flacco.
justice system and gets his
Talk
consequences and
about
take
lock
it
them
on the
all
chin,
up.
but you continue to harass him, like for what? What are you trying to gain from out of this, bruh? You're trying to lock a man up for 20 years over a tweet? Yo, you're listen, you are an evil. You're an evil and disgusting human being, bruh. So
Mm-mm.
hopefully, bruh. Hopefully Young Thug survives Fannie Willis the rest of her term, and hopefully she gets voted out, bruh. Because this is just trifling behavior, bruh. Shout out to YSL Whitaker, man, aka Judge Whitaker. Okay, let me know in the comment section, what do you guys think about this? Okay, do you guys feel like Fannie Willis had a point? Did Young Thug violate, or do y'all feel like
No.
she just has a hard on for Young Thug, man, because she got embarrassed? Let me know in the comment section, okay? And if you're still watching, click on this video right here on my screen. It's a pretty dope video. I explain why WAC 100 enemies are trying to use these particular receipts to get them locked up. Apparently,
All right. Think that might be all about the Thug case. To be honest with you. Let me see. Uh,
Thanks for staying with us here on Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Christina Evans. Let's continue on with our coverage of some of these top stories that we've been following. I want to put this up because we've been tracking this story out of Atlanta, our partners there at Fox 5. An update there. We now know that the rapper Young Thug, his probation will remain intact for now. This after a Fulton County Superior Court judge ruled on the fact that he did not violate his probation. Of course, we know that Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis filed a 14-page motion this was yesterday, alleging that Young Thug had violated the terms of his probation through online behavior. Let's listen in to our partners there at Fox 5 in Atlanta, Tyler Fingert. He has much more on this story.
This is the last video we're gonna watch about it, and then we're gonna go right to the
after 3
easy.
words. I plead guilty. On Halloween, Fulton County Superior Court Judge Paige Reese Whitaker sentenced Young Thug, whose real name is Jeffrey Williams, to 15 years of probation along with several conditions. But Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis filed this motion Wednesday night to get it revoked, calling him a danger to public safety. The 14-page filing revolves around social media posts. Megan Grout, who is a longtime criminal defense attorney not affiliated with the case, was shocked to read it.
You can't revoke someone's probation because you don't like what they've said.
According to the document, the DA alleges Williams' social media conduct has put the lives of a DA investigator and others in danger since his sentencing. One of her examples is a post from this week that has since been deleted, where he called the investigator, quote, biggest liar in the DA office, along with her picture. Willis says the investigator and her family have received threats and doxed on social media after the post. There was also an assassination threat made against DA Willis.
He is entitled to have an opinion and he's entitled to express it. What happened was other people then saw what he had expressed and took it to the next level.
Young Thug's attorney Brian Steele fired back in a court filing. He called the allegations baseless. He wrote, quote, Mr. Williams can admit to all of the allegations alleged and still not have violated any term of his probationary sentence, end quote. In a social media post, Young Thug says he doesn't make threats and would never condone threatening anyone.
The district attorney's office of Fulton County cannot put people in jail because they don't like what that person said. They have to follow the law just like the rest of us do. And that motion does not follow any law that I can find.
All right, our thanks to Tyler Fingert there for giving us an update on that story. I did, again, a bit earlier today, I did talk to TMZ to get a bit more info on how this is now shaping up now that we know that Young Thug's probation will remain intact. Let's listen into that conversation. Thanks for staying with us here on Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Christina Evans. So we're going to continue to follow some of our top stories, and this next one takes us down to Atlanta, Georgia. I want to put up this tweet that we have there from TMZ. As we know that Young Thug is officially in the clear after a judge declined to revoke his probation. Of course, it was a scary situation, I'm sure, for the rapper overnight after Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis filed a 14-page motion alleging that Williams had violated the terms of his probation. This was due to some online behavior, including a recently deleted post that targeted a DA investigator by name and photo. To talk a bit more about this, I'm going to bring into the conversation TMZ's Michael Babcock. Michael, of course, this was an interesting story because we've been following the Young Thug case. Of course, he was locked up for several years, facing a lot of years in this RICO trial, eventually coming to a plea agreement, out on probation at this point, but it almost all went away in just a matter of minutes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I've got to imagine that this was a scary 24 hours here for Young Thug because, like you said, he did spend time behind bars, but he reached an agreement with the prosecutors, and in exchange for serving a really lengthy prison sentence, could have been 2+ decades, he essentially said, hey, look, I will be released and I will be on probation for 15 years. And obviously, when you're on probation, you've got to walk a tightrope. So there is an unaffiliated case, has nothing to do with Young Thug, except for the fact that it is the Fulton County District Attorney's Office that is prosecuting the case. Well, it's a gang-related murder, and the judge in that particular case said, hey, look, there is a law enforcement officer who is testifying here. We do not want her identity or the law enforcement person's identity out there because we think it could present a risk for this officer. Please don't share her name, don't share her image. Well, there was a blogger who chose to disregard those instructions and blasted the photo out to their followers.
It's gonna be the
Well,
last video
Young
we want
Thug
to
then,
go right
seeing
into
that
it, at least.
image, retweeted the photo, and obviously this is not what the court, not what the judge wanted. Because of that, Fannie Willis said, hey, look, this person now, this law enforcement officer is getting threats, and they were trying to essentially violate him, to say that he violated the terms Thug did of his probation. And because of that, he could then be subject to, again, a 2+ decade of prison sentence here. So there was a lot on the line for him. His attorney said, look, this is nonsense. This does not constitute a violation here, and he should face no repercussions. And obviously, the judge ultimately agreed, because that's essentially what the judge said. Although the judge did offer a bit of a warning, saying, "Hey, look, you're in a bit of a precarious situation here. Heed this as a warning that you've got to watch what you say, because you could get yourself in some trouble."
And Michael, I'm glad you brought that up. So what Thug's lawyer, Brian Steele, said in a court filing, he said, these allegations are baseless. Mr. Williams can admit to all of the allegations alleged and it still not have violated any terms of his probationary sentence. But what we're talking about, this really focused on doxing. That's what the prosecutors were trying to say, and the DA, Fannie Willis, was saying that they
Because
got
the
this
fans
investigator that's
doxing
tied to
their
this
addresses.
alternative case, another rapper, Young Scooter, who passed away last week. They're saying this is doxing. They're now putting out information on the woman's mother's home, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, and I understand, and a lot of people might not like that Young Thug chose to do this. And he wrote a caption along with the photo, and it said, biggest liar in the DA's office. So I understand people having an issue with that. But I think you've probably got to look at this a little bit separate. You can not like something, but does it constitute him violating the terms of his probation? I think here in this case, those are two different answers, two separate questions with two very distinct answers. And I think, for my mind, and I've heard a lot of people say this today, that they did not think that this was a violation, and ultimately the judge reached the right
All over that
conclusion
tweet,
here.
bro.
But
All that
still,
crazy
it's probably a little bit too close, a little bit too close of a call. I'm sure Thug, at the prospect of being behind bars once again, after all the time he's already spent there, I've got to think that this was really a nerve-wracking last 24 hours for him.
And I think that's often brought up with these probation cases and sentences. He's on probation for longer than 10 years. I think it's closer to 15, if I'm correct.
15 years. Yes, exactly.
He's got to be careful at this point. What do you think that his lawyer is now telling him? Brian Steele, of course, made very famous in this case in the lengthy history. It was the longest case in Georgia history at the time. But I'm sure he's given him some words of advice at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he's an incredibly talented defense attorney. He
Shout out
did,
to
I think,
bro,
by all accounts, a great job for Young Thug. When you think about being on probation, and
videos
you
on
may
my
say to
social,
yourself,
y'all.
okay, all I've got to do is
Next
not
one,
commit a
bro.
crime,
You wanna
and
follow
I'll
me
be
the next one,
okay.
20 yellow
But
bees.
that's not necessarily the case. When you are on probation, you may not have all of the rights that a citizen who's not on probation has. So he has got to walk a really fine line here. And I'm sure it's a bit daunting. Obviously, 15 years is a really long time. And to think that anything you do, even as little as a tweet on social media, on X, that could mean a violation, and that could mean you going back behind bars. It seems daunting, and it's a long, long time to be on probation, much longer than we typically see.
So it'll certainly be interesting. Hopefully, we'll be able to keep up with this case as it goes on. But again, like you said, he's on probation for the next 15 years. If anything comes up, I'm sure we'll be able to rely on Michael Babcock and the team there at TMZ to keep us updated. We appreciate you for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. I'll see you soon.
All right. We do appreciate Michael Babcock there with TMZ for giving us that update. Also, though, want to put up there on your screen a post on X from Young Thug himself. He said, I don't make treats, but he means threats, I'm sure, here to people. I'm a good person. I would never condone anyone threatening anyone or definitely participate in threatening anyone.
All right, y'all. That's gonna be it right there. We're gonna go right to the next one, man. Everybody that's in here, man, follow me to the next one. Whoever's in here, other than you, bro. It's Says two people on the YouTube, one on the Twitch. So whoever in here, man, follow me to the next one, man. Peace.